angry constantly at you for killing one of my family members, or I can think, you know what, nothing's going to bring that family member back. Now, am I going to go have this hate and negativity in my body and in my soul for the rest of my life because you've taken something from me? Or it's not about forgetting what you've done. It's not even forgiving you what you've done. But I've got to feel in my head, I've got to move on as such. Never going to forget what you've done. But to be, not say the better person or whatever, or stronger person, if I constantly have, say, you owe me, that's just going to eat up inside me. That's just me. I'm just talking as one person.
But that's...
Fidel's got his hand up.
So I think I agree with you. I think definitely black people need to move on. It's like, how can I put it? Sometimes the anger that you have about somebody who poisons you, forget it in the past, you know, I mean, more than the person who you feel, you know, perpetrated the harm to you. But just, I suppose, one little thing which I think for me is quite significant. So I'm looking at Guardian article, 14th of March today, headline, San Francisco.
Speak louder.
San Francisco backed reparations plans, including $5 million to eligible black adults, right? So that's in America, right? So they're proposing reparations. Now, if I'm, let's say, someone in, I don't know, New York, and from what I know, like the New York politicians, like, have slammed the idea down, I'm kind of thinking, well, hold on, if people in San Francisco are getting reparations, I might want it too. So I think it's tricky, and I think black people aren't monolith. We all know that. Some black people might say, well, if you give me £5 million, I'll do this. If you give that person £5 million, they'll do that. Do you know what I mean? But I do think for white people, yes, if they acknowledge that slavery was a harm, and some of them are willing to apologise if they've got families who were enslavers, that's a big step. But you can't, as for me, psychologically, it's so important to recognise harm that's been done to people and harm that you may perpetrate, even if it's unconsciously. To kind of make relations with other people, particularly black people, kind of good. Like, for me, that's go on.
What I was going to say is, to me, I understand everything you're saying, I agree with everything you're saying. I'm just feeling the monetary part of it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you giving me $5 million, is that still going to make me feel better?
120%.
That's what I'm saying. So to me,
120%.
I'm just saying, yeah, apologise. Damn right I should apologise. But, and like, the money thing to me, and I think is what people think, yeah, you owe me. You owe my ancestors. Well, how much? And until I get that money, I'm going to constantly be at you. That's what I'm trying to say, you know?
Let's go to Shabs with
Michael.
Michael.
We talk about moving on, but in anything, you can only move on when you actually acknowledge and process what has happened. And this history has been denied and put down for so long, and has been said that it didn't even really happen. And the reason that black people are down is because they're lazy, it's because they're this, it's because they're that. You talked about if somebody kills a family member of mine, that's a discrete incident. That's one thing that happened. That's not 400, 500, 600, keeps going years of oppression. Now it's under the radar, so we don't understand it. But actually, for most of the time, it was in our faces and it was done to us. And there's no way we can even calculate how much money and wealth was stolen from African people during the Holocaust. It's not the same thing, but India, when the British went to India, that was the richest country on the globe. When they were finished, they were one of the most poorest. And why is Britain so rich? It's a small little island, it hasn't got many resources or anything. It's rich because it stole from everyone and it's still got it. And now they're saying, forget about it. Well, we can't give it back to you, you know, stop complaining, stop whining. Can you imagine if that happened to white people, what's happened to black people?
So we've got Michael,
They don't
Shay
complain.
on, and then Chuck is coming in, and Anwar might be coming in as well.
We can't move on. We can't move on until we've been paid. Yeah?
Okay.
We got to be paid.
Why?
Economic runs the world. Money equals power. We have no money, we have no power. We have nothing in the system, nothing in place. Does any black community, any black people, any race own a hospital? Do we own a hospital? Do we own a school? Do we own anything?
That's not just necessarily
Let me
about money.
finish. We need money to buy these products, services, to service our community, to build a community, to build a nation. We need money. As long as we're being deprived for money, we can't build anything. If we got money, we can deal with the trauma after. We can build healing center, we can go on journeys, we can deal with that after. We need to be paid, right? The Japanese have been compensated for Pearl Harbor. All right? The Jews have been compensated, right? Yeah? And what happened when they finally decided to pay some compensation for the Windrush generation? What happened with that?
Well, 33,
How tricky was that to get? How easy was that to get?
33 recommendations were made and only 3 have been implemented.
Yeah. So it's not that we ain't got a shit together. Individual groups, people, individual over the years have made the right conversation, put the offers forward. They just don't want to pay us because they're scared of what happened when black people are united and get our shit together. They depend on us for the resources. Right now, the world is shitting itself because Africa is kind of making some moves now.
Niger.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
we feed the world. Majority of resources, for all the technology, all your phone, everything comes from Africa. So as long as you keep Africa divided, right, they rule.
And more.
We gotta be paid, right?
And more than Shay and then Chaka.
I kind of wanted to take up what you two were saying in terms of reparations.
Speak
Louder. He says that we need to get paid. When like that can happen, but like as long as there's still a system that keeps us oppressed, then it doesn't really matter because we're gonna use the money for other stuff. You know that doesn't really.
We'll just give the money back to them.
Pretty much, it's pretty much going to be a capitalism. So the longer they stay in Africa, take resources and still have some of the resources that they have now, then pretty much we're going to stay in this cycle of, you know. So it's kind of just a system.
Shay, Chaka.
My thought is it doesn't have to be monetary. Reparation doesn't have to be monetary. We have benefited from the likes of positive discrimination in the past. There are moves to reduce that kind of helping hand, and I think it's something that we can that can happen more easily than the money being paid. And as Anwar says, you give someone who doesn't have money, and they will spend it on shit.
Yeah.
And it's not going to help. We'll be in exactly the same spot we were before the money was handed out, because people's attitudes to money, they are inherited and they are, well, I don't know.
That's why they don't teach
Okay.
like.
Okay,
mortgages
But
and
I have another point. Trauma is inherited. So as you were talking about your fictional person being hit by a car, I think you were saying that's one person, whereas slavery is or was a process over centuries and generations, and the trauma is handed down from one generation to the next. You don't even know that it's happening, but you live with it and you have that mindset, and it isn't possible to just move on without some kind of restitution being paid.
And can you just wrap up, just in your own opinion, when Esther Stanford Oze came into our group, essentially was she saying around this element?
I can't remember.
Okay. Let's go to Chaka.
I just want to point on Keith. Your analogy for me is very much like somebody runs over your kid and you think you're going to finish it. Well, why don't you reverse the car and run over the kid again and again and again?
Exactly.
And they walk by and say, I killed a nigger today. Every day they pass your house and they say, I killed a nigger today, and that nigger was your child. How would you feel? That's slavery. That is what I'm talking about. It's just not one incident, it's many incidents. And it's also in your face day in, day out. That's my first point. My second point related to the fact about the money. You have to be educated. We all know that many people won the lottery and that money's gone in less than 6 months. So there's no point in me just giving money for the sake of giving money. There has to be a purpose behind that money. And my third point, and I love what Bob Marley said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Unless we can do that, cleaning our house, in-house itself, in terms of how we see things.
Get our own house in order first.
Yeah, exactly, before we can even think about getting money in.
But maybe the money can help to get our house in order.
But what my point is that how many of us here, if I ask you guys, what would you use £1 million for? I guarantee not many of us will not know how to invest that money.
Land.
No, I can guarantee. Yeah, but okay, buy land in Ghana. What does that mean? What does that mean?
It means I can do something I can't do in this country.
Yeah, but what I'm saying.
Who owns land in this country?
Yes, can I just say something? Can I say you buy land in Ghana and what you're gonna plant the land? How is that gonna give you generational wealth? That's what the question.
You can build a house for your kids, your family.
Yeah,
Can you build a house here?
but I'm saying you can use. My point is that you can still buy a house here in the UK, this is my point. You can just shush for a second, right? You can still buy a house here. How many Windrush generation have bought houses here back in 1960s and 70s for £20,000? That's worth $1.5 million now. And what's gone with that money? That's my point here.
Was there systems in place to prevent them from buying?
It's not, yeah, but the point is, whether you have a system in place or not, it's whether you have a system in place in there.
Don't forget them couldn't even get a room, you know.
But also,
No Irish, no Arab, no blacks.
loads of the Windrush generation have houses.
And no, that's not my point.
Yeah,
my
yeah.
point my point is a lot of them had houses, but the money from that house that they had, where is that money now? That's my point. Because we're not here financially, economically, because we're not taught that in schools. Unless that is taught in schools, not many people even know how to pay a bill. Not many people know how to understand conscious spending. Words like that. We just spend blah, blah, blah. I mean, I walked down Brixton. I'm thinking, okay, money gonna go into this thing. I just came back from Morocco, right? One thing I noticed about Morocco, everywhere you go, everybody's bartering. Everybody wants to sell you something. But it's a massive beehive and they're all communicating. The foreigners don't know it, but they're all communicating somehow in there. Because when I buy something here, the next man 10 miles down the road, he knows I bought something, so he's not going to sell me the same thing. He's going to sell me something else. That does not happen here. That's my point. And if you're going to make money, make it here and then do something somewhere else.
Fidel, back to Michael, and then we're going to wrap up.
I would just say that I hear where you're coming from in terms of economic education and a lot of people in this thing, I hear that. But I do think that even if you have the best intentions in terms of like, or the best plan how to spend your money, things like redlining, you know, redlining in the States, there's systems in place, where, you know, black people with money, if they want to play the game, if you like, the white people play, you know, with a level playing field, it doesn't work out for them because the white people they get together and they discriminate. You know what I mean? I'm not saying in every case, but,
but what I'm saying to you, my brother, if I had the money, you and I can use that money.
100%.
Exactly, but why were you thinking again? Your mental state is, I need the white man to help me.
But redlining to stop black people from progressing economically. It's just a fact.
Yeah,
it's
but
what
I'm saying,
I want to wrap it up. Okay,
Let me wrap it up.
Michael, wrap it up and done.
Listen, let me wrap it up. All of you being programmed. Listen, you lot can't even visualize us having money. That's the programming. Straight away, the four of us having money, no one start thinking, what's the solution? What can we do? What if? Maybe we can get. Let me finish. Stop there. I'll come with you about the education. But you have to start thinking, who is our educators?
True.
Who is our educators? Who educates black people?
Listen.
Who educates black people?
I'm going to leave it there. Thank you.
Is your educator going to educate you how to use wealth and resources?
Okay.
No.
I'm not doing that.
No, not talking about the white man.
Okay, we're going to have to wrap it up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.